That's not the right date, is it? Is it the 26th? No, it's the what's the date? The 25th.
The 24th.
This is 24th. I'm just 2 days ahead of myself. What do you know? Okay. Good morning. It's great to see you all. So I'm going to start with a little bit of the agenda, kind of talk you through what we're going to do. We're going to do a lot of practice today, and we'll do some breakout session writing practice. One of the most important things you can do is to look at both your work and other people's work through the lens of what your reader's going to see. So we're going to focus a lot on the writing strategies, and then we'll work through some reading strategies as well. So I want to start with a little overview on the CBEST itself. So it's a 4-hour exam. And the one thing I want to stress for everyone is you have done this material before in school, but it might have been in 8th grade and you don't necessarily remember all that stuff. So the first thing I want to remind you of is to practice, practice, practice. I'm using the free test prep materials that the CBEST provides, the CTC website provides, but there's plenty of other materials. There's a CBEST prep that's put out by Cliff Notes, and another one, a couple of others. Purchase them and just practice and time yourself, because the more you practice, the more you're guaranteed to pass it. It's not necessarily a hard exam. It's just that the questions they ask you may not have encountered recently, and so you've forgotten that material. So the most important thing you can do is review, review, review. So the test itself has 50 reading questions and 49 math questions, and then 2 essays. One is an analytical essay and one is a descriptive experience essay. So we're going to talk about how to analyze that and how to strategize for those different types of prompts. Okay, and then the timing of the test is such that you've got 4 hours. And you need to get at least, and as I said, it's your reading score. You want to get at least 50. You could get 41, 43, and still get 50 points in the end, and you would pass. You could get, let me see. Sorry, I'm not making sense today. So you have your different scores. So you could get the same score on every test and still pass, okay? Or you could get higher on one and lower on another and still pass. You need the 123. But even if you got perfect scores in the reading and writing and you got a 30 in the math, you would fail. But the benefit is you'd only have to retake the section you didn't pass. So that's a positive. But I like to, and honestly, I think you should really plan to go in and take the whole test and pass the whole test. And if you don't pass one section of it, fine, but you're saving yourself quite a bit of money. I don't encourage people to go in with the strategy of, oh, I'm only going to take the writing test and spend the whole time on the writing test. Don't do that. Prepare for the whole test and do your best and try to get it out of the way in one shot. That is my recommendation. Okay. And then some things to remember. The brain is a muscle, and the more you practice, the faster you get and the more efficient you are. So set a schedule for yourself. Identify a time that you want to take the test. Let's say, and I don't know, I know there's been quite a bit of lack of clarity on when the tests are going to be offered, but sign up for the test as soon as you can. Schedule yourself. Usually you sign up and it's usually two months away from the sign up date, and then work backwards. Set a schedule for yourself. Identify a little bit of time each day that you practice on some section of the test. And then maybe on the weekends, set aside, an hour or so to sit and take time yourself going all the way through, and then use the answer keys in the test prep books to go back and study the questions. If you do that, you will pass. In fact, there was one student I had a few years ago who she was really nervous about passing, and she just showed up in my office and would sit in my office and take the test prep over and over and over again, and she did fine. She ended up doing fine, but she really set a schedule for herself and practiced. The other thing that's really important is to identify the areas you know are your weaknesses and turn them into your strengths. So let's say there are certain issues with regard to math facts that you know you have difficulty in. Make flashcards and build your recall and speed and accuracy. One thing that I was advised many years ago by a math teacher kind of before I was taking the graduate math section, and that was to just memorize my math facts up to 100, up to 12 times 12. And I went beyond that. I memorized my math facts up to 20 times 20. And I knew all the square roots. I don't remember them right now, but it's an easy thing to memorize. And you just think about it, if you have that memorized, then your recall's fast and you've saved time on that part of the test, and that gives you more time on other parts of the test. So those are the strategies that I recommend. Also, if you know that you have difficulty with certain homonyms, like LED versus LEAD, make a flashcards. Google homonyms in English and study them, because it's funny, but those little spelling issues, well, those are the things they'll ding you in. Another really important point is to read your sentences out loud to yourself and make sure that you have one idea per sentence. Another thing they will ding you for is fragments, sentence fragments, and that typically means it's not a complete idea. So really read your sentences for a complete idea, and go back and revise, because those are the things that they'll ding you for, most prominently. Also, there's a lot of people who've taken CBEST, and I'm going to just put this in the chat for you. I've got to get out of present mode to do this. Come on, out of present mode. Sorry. So I'm going to put this in the chat. Just copy this and just put it aside for yourself. You don't need to do it now. But Quizlet is free, right? And there's a lot of people who have put CBEST test questions up there. So you can use those to practice. If you have a few minutes during the day, just practice. So as I said, your brain's a muscle. Put time aside to kind of keep practice and, focus on that test. You'll get it done. You will pass it. It's not that hard. It's just the issue of the material is material you covered up until the 8th grade. And again, it's probably things you haven't looked at recently, which is why. And you want to get your speed up. One of the things that a lot of students tell me is that they're used to writing more complex essays in college. And so consequently, they get in and they have difficulty timing their writing. And that's something we're going to practice today. The other thing is to conquer your nerves. And the only way that I know how to do this well is to kind of practice mindfulness techniques. Take 15 minutes when you wake up and you feel calm, and just breathe and just focus on how calm you feel, and use that same energy before you go to bed at night. Try to do it a couple times a day, because that sort of gets your brain in the habit of calming down and calming yourself down. And use that time a few times during the day, because what that will do for you is it allows you to help you focus and learn how to regulate your nerves. And it's super important to be able to do that going into a test, because you know how you get that feeling of stressing out and your mind blanks. You don't want to go there. You want to have these tools to calm yourself down. So take walks, focus on beauty, harness good thoughts. Make a study plan starting from the time you are planning to take the test. It's usually you have to sign up 2 months in advance, work backwards, practice a little bit. And then the day before the test, this is my advice to you, go for a really long walk or a swim or whatever. Just make yourself really tired so you go home and sleep really well. And you get up and you're full of energy. Do not try to cram the night before the test, because your brain needs to be rested and flexible, okay? So we're going to start with the writing section now. And I'm going to talk you through some techniques, some strategies. So the writing section, there's 2 essays, and typically the way the test is set up, the idea is you spend an hour on the reading, an hour on the math, and then you've got 2 hours, 1 hour for each essay. Years ago, the CBEST test was a 3-hour test. It was an hour for the reading, an hour for the math, and then an hour for 2 essays. And they expected you to be able to write 2 essays in an hour. All right. And my strategy for you is to prepare as if it were a 3-hour test. Because if you do that, then guess what? You've got a whole extra hour to go back and proofread all the sections of the test so that you really know that you've turned in a good test. One of the issues that some of my students have said they run into in the past is they finish early and they leave. Don't do that. Use your whole time. Go back and go over your questions very, very carefully. Go over your writing very, very carefully. So if you strategize for finishing in 3 hours the way the test used to be, okay, then you've got an extra hour to go back to the different sections of the test and review. Okay. And believe me, you can do it. You know, people used to pass CBEST in 3 hours. So if you plan for 3 hours, then you've given yourself a whole extra hour to prepare. So, and then the two types of tests are the descriptive or narrative essay, and that's where they ask you a question and you need to draw on the experience of your life and give examples to show, describe, or kind of tell or narrate a significant event in your life in order to explain something. So basically you're giving evidence from your own life to discuss and provide examples to support your point in your essay. The other kind of essay is called, they'll give you a situation to analyze, and that's where you write an expository essay. It's also called an issue essay. And there's 3 approaches to an expository essay. You can either tell a story to explain why, or you can use a comparison contrast type style. So you have to analyze the prompt in order to figure out, what's your attack. So what we're going to do is analyze prompts, okay? And then and then we're going to talk about them. Okay, so here's our first our strategy for analyzing prompts. So as I said, if you planned to write 2 essays in an hour, then you would have 30 minutes per essay. Okay, so I want you to spend 5 minutes brainstorming an outline of key points, then 15 minutes writing, and then 10 minutes going back, proofreading, and rewriting your paper. All right. So as I said, since it's a 4-hour exam, you can read the 2 prompts, you can make notes and do other parts of the exam if you want, and then come back to the essay. So, and think of things you want to write about. That's one strategy. It's interesting to me because that's a strategy actually I heard from another CBEST test prep leader. And while I think it's probably a good strategy, it's not one I would choose. I would probably just want to focus on the essay. But a lot of people said that strategy is helpful. So in other words, work on your outline and then work on the rest of the test and then come back to the writing. That's one person has suggested that. If you think that's going to work for you, then do it. But as I said, watch your time. The strategy that I'm going to recommend right now is to start with 5 minutes of brainstorming key points. Okay. So I'm going to give you the task of outlining your key points. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you write it in, I'm going to give you a link to a Google form, and I want you to brainstorm in the form. Don't submit it though, hang on, okay? So this is the prompt. At some point in our lives, all of us have faced some sort of rejection or defeat. Write an essay about a time in your life when you experienced such a rejection. How did the experience affect you? Okay, so I'm going to time you. You've got 5 minutes. I'm going to put this in the chat. Whew. Okay. And I want you to open it up. Click on the link. Open it up. I'm going to time you and give you 5 minutes to write an outline. You're not writing an essay. You're writing an outline with the key points. So you're going to think about what was the time? Okay. What happened? What was the rejection? And how did it affect you? Okay. And most likely you're going to talk about something you learned, right? Because it's one of those developmental type. So I'm going to time you. Your mark, get set, go.
Sorry to bother you. It says I need permission.
Me too.
Okay, that's a problem. So that means, Okay, hang on a second. I think I know what the issue is. Okay, try again. Try again now. I'm gonna put it in the chat again here. So, okay, go ahead. Give that one a try. Can you get in now? Even with that link, you can't get in?
Might have to refresh,
Yeah.
click the link again.
I refreshed, but maybe because we don't have CSUMB emails.
No, I just changed it.
Okay.
I changed it. So
You have to click save on Dean at the bottom.
yeah. Okay, there we go. You're right. Okay, now try.
Oh, yeah.
Is it working?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna fix all my other ones now while you're writing.
Thank you.
Sure, no problem. Okay, stop. I'm gonna reset the timer. Okay. Okay, time. All right, I'm going to open up the breakout rooms. I want you to go into the breakout rooms. I want you to introduce yourself to your partner, and I want you to talk through how did you attack this problem? What was the example in your life that you gave to answer this problem? All right. And I'm going to, so go ahead and pop into the breakout room. Okay, everyone, we're back now. I believe we've got everybody back now. So the main reason that I'm having you, please submit your responses if you didn't. Okay, please submit your responses. And I have 49 people in here and there's only 8 responses. So please submit your responses. So the main reason,
Oh,
yes.
sorry. Because I'm on the last question, how are your answers the same or different? Oh, from the group. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So the main reason we're doing these breakout room sessions is that in my experience of teaching the CBEST test prep, the most successful students are the students that get a study group going and kind of have somebody to talk to about the test, get motivated. And, you know, you're all different people with different schedules and different lives, but the idea is that I'll break you out into several different groups throughout the morning, and hopefully you connect with 1 or 2 people and you can actually form a study team. Because if you form a study team where you say, okay, we're all going to sign up for the CBEST on, you know, I don't know, July 7th. I think that's usually it's July. Margaret, can you talk, have you looked up what the CBEST dates are? Is there information that you've been evaluating through my?
Yes, the next CBEST paper-based is July 10th or July 11th. The May one was canceled, so we're hoping that the July will not be canceled.
So if you set a goal of taking that CBEST, and then you find a couple of partners, and you form a group chat and just cheer each other on. Like maybe say, okay, we're gonna check in with each other at 8 o'clock each day and say, did you take 10 or 15 minutes to study? Because if you have a team or a group that you're kind of working with, it really motivates you and gets you excited, and because it's easy to feel defeated, especially if you're someone who has not had a lot of success in test taking. And my belief is that anyone can be good at test taking. It has a lot to do with the mental attitude. And so part of what I do in this test prep session is try to encourage you to strategize and find different attack methods to approach the test taking. So with that said, let's have a look at I've got 23 responses. Let's just look at some of the responses here. You all kind of had different points. Some people, they talked about being rejected in a job interview. They made you feel like you weren't good enough. Your self-esteem dropped, but then they realized that they needed to be older for that position and later got accepted. So notice how the theme behind that one seems to be overcoming some kind of conflict or complexity in life. And it is narrative, yes. And then this was, the effects from rejection, and then kind of how they overcame that rejection. Tried out at a theater, tried out my local theater at art play, rejected to participate, but felt defeated, but they're going to try again next year. So again, everybody is like doing the same thing, which is important. You're overcoming those obstacles in life. And I think that's really what they're looking for, is how does it make you feel? And what did you learn from it? So, and the other point, that the reason I have you do this is to realize that you can strategize and come up with a set list of points. There's no right answer on these tests. And what they're looking for is just the ability to focus in and write something quickly in a structured way. So you could make it up. I mean, if you look at the prompt and you think, I don't even know what to say, make it up. It doesn't matter, right? No one's going to ask the truth value of your essay. What they want to see is, can you focus on an idea and present a list of a response to that idea in a coherent fashion. That's all they're looking for, okay? Notice here they have, let's see, I'm looking at some of these other examples. Okay, let's kind of go back. I'm going to go back to my main slides here. So, you all did a great job. I hope that you found it helpful to talk with somebody. I'm going to mix you up so you'll meet somebody new next time around. Okay, so let's get to my next slide here. Okay, so basically this is a narrative structure, okay? And they're looking for, so, your outline would typically be something like paragraph where you introduce the topic, you restate the question as a statement. So think about, how would you restate that question as a statement? I felt defeated when, I felt rejected when I tried out for a play. I felt rejected when I applied for a waitressing job. I felt rejected when. So, you take the question and you flip it and you restate it as a statement. You first paragraph, you're going to describe the event. Second paragraph, the effect of the event. And, next paragraph, the long-term outcome, and how it made you feel. Okay. And you can get all those ideas if you get the ideas jotted down in an outline, and then as you write, you have your ideas focused. You just follow your outline. Okay. It makes you a much faster and more efficient writer. One of the problems that again, my students have said they run into is that because you are college level writers, you tend to be more sophisticated in your writing and you spend more time, and then you run out of time and you don't have the time to finish and you don't pass. So that's not going to happen to any of you, because you are all going to strategize to brainstorm 5-minute outlines and just write like the wind, right? Everybody going to do that? Can I see a thumbs up? Thumbs up from everybody. We are going to write like the wind. Okay. So let's try another one. I have another one for you. Okay. So this is this one a narrative or expository? And here is your question, and here is the link, and I've already fixed it, so you shouldn't have a problem. And I'm going to put you in a new set of breakout rooms. And where's my chat box? Hang on a minute. Got to find it. It's not, when you share screen, the chat box disappears. Okay. Yes, I can share my PowerPoint, no problem. Okay, there we go. Click. All right, and click the link, open up a new box, and get ready to go into, please go into the breakout rooms, and please introduce yourself, because some people were all by themselves, and I if you signed up for this workshop, I do expect you to participate, not just, I don't know, do whatever else. All right. Okay. So I'm going to put you into your breakout rooms just a second while you're thinking about that. And then I'll time you. Well, first let's time you. Go ahead, start writing, and then I'll put you in the breakout rooms. Okay, 5 minutes has started. Go for it. Okay, time's up. Time's up. Okay, so before we go into breakout rooms, I would like everyone to please go up to the corner. So find your picture in the, I'm gonna hang on a minute. I am going to stop sharing for a minute. I'd like you to find your name and make sure your name, you have your whole name. So you just have to click, there's a little box with 3 little dots, and you just click on that box and it says rename at the bottom. Can you change your name? So I'm going to rechange my name. I'm the lead instructor here. Okay, so I've just changed my name. I want you to please put your whole name. Some of you just have your first name. Yeah, put your whole name so that your partners can see your names when you meet. Okay, because there's all kinds of different responses. So I think here we have, okay, I'm looking at, yeah, I mean, most of you seem to write in more in complete sentences, less so much in the outline form, which is okay. You know, if you can do it in 5 minutes, awesome. But then each one of those sentences would be a paragraph, right? Because that would be, remember, and that's something important to remember in academic writing. Typically, each paragraph is an idea. If an author puts more than one idea in a paragraph, it's not well written. So you have an idea, typically there's a claim, and then you give supporting evidence, right? And then your final sentence is typically called a warrant. So what it does is the warrant explains how the claim connects to the evidence you've provided in the sentence. Yeah. So let's have a look here. Increase, okay, this one's increase physical. So that's their statement. Now keeps to maintain healthy lifestyle, technology, keep students from going outside, give students a chance to appreciate outsides, to explore new ways of staying. Oh, that's pretty good. Now you've got some really good points here to support, right, why you want to increase physical education. Now in this one, they said, I don't think the school board should increase. For years it's taken. See, now notice here, this person just started writing the essay, and that's not a strategy I recommend. I recommend just block out the points that we want to make, okay? And then go back and write full sentences supporting that. So then each sentence would be a paragraph, right? Next one, yes, okay, so compare PE versus another subject. Okay, so they chose the advantage versus the disadvantage. That's fine. Paragraph 1, history of PE requirements. Paragraph 2, pros and cons. Pros and cons. And then what the board is proposing and how they'll achieve it. That's a good strategy too. That works. So what I want you to notice is how, you know, you all take a different stand, and it isn't what you say, it's how you say it. That is really what they're looking for. How are you expressing yourself? They don't care what your opinion is. They just want to see how you structure your thinking, because that's the critical thinking piece that they're looking for, that they want to make sure that people going into education have sorted out. Okay. So these look pretty good. They look pretty good. I am confident that every one of you could do this. So my question then for all of you is, you know, you see the value of practicing brainstorming before you start writing, because that is critical. And also I'm going to say it's critical because you need to get this writing done quickly and efficiently. You can't spend hours on it like you might have for college level writing. It has to be fast. Okay. So that is what we are practicing today, is how do we strategize and really expedite our process so that we do well on this exam. Okay, let's go on to my next slide here. So this was an expository structure. Did everybody say expository structure? So typically in an expository structure, again, you restate the question as a statement, okay? So do you think the school board should increase physical education requirement to 3 years? So you're going to restate that in your introduction as you could give a little summary, like, you know, the school board at Del Mar is considering raising the number of raising the amount of time students spend in physical education classes. You don't want to exactly plagiarize the exact sentence, but paraphrase it. And given the board's voting, I would argue that the board should increase or decrease or whatever you believe. So you're going to turn this sentence, this yes, no question into a statement with your response. Okay. And then possibly, first paragraph, second paragraph could be the background leading to it. Describe your choice, describe the results of your action, conclusion. That's just one approach. But again, and you all had really good ideas, but again, think about how each sentence then is going to be your paragraph. Okay. All right. So let's talk about a different style essay. The next one is an analytic or expository essay. It's the why essay. You want to explain why. This type of essay requires that you take a stand on a topic. Your essay must analyze, evaluate, or expound on an issue. Okay. Your essay should expose an issue to a reader by thoroughly exploring it. So one of the things you want to do when you sketch out for an expository essay is you want to kind of introduce your topic and then sum up the reasons. And this is really typically the 5-paragraph essay style that you were taught all the way through high school. This one should be pretty familiar. So you're going to, in your introductory paragraph, you just think of 3 reasons why. Okay. In your outline, just say 3 reasons why. And then you dedicate each paragraph to a reason. All right. So paragraph 2, reason 1, state your claim and supporting evidence. This is so claim, evidence, warrant, structure. It's not even funny. You just follow that pattern and you'll be in good shape. Second paragraph, claim, evidence, warrant with your reason 2. Third paragraph, claim, evidence, warrant with your reason 3. And then you sum up your argument and you're good to go. All right. So let's try another one. All right. So again, here is our question. Margaret Atwood says war is what happens when language fails. In an essay that's going to be read by educated adults, explain whether you agree or disagree with this observation. Support your argument with details and examples. Now, you could pick examples in history. You could pick examples in your family. You could pick examples on the playground. It doesn't matter. Just think about what's your stand, okay? Which kind of essay and how are you going to explain this? All right. Here is the link. I'm going to put the link in the chat. Again, 5-minute outline. On your mark, get set, go. And I'll time you now. Okay. There's your there's the questionnaire for you to write your 5-minute outline in. And I'm going to time you now. 5 minutes. Okay, I think everybody's back now. I hope that went well for you. Okay, so let's have a look at some of these answers, some of the discussions, and have a look at what people did. Okay, so I've only got 14 responses. People, come on, turn in your responses. So really some good strategies, you know. War is what happens when language fails. And then, you know, the example they gave was in a marriage. So good idea. You know, you can use your personal experience. So you can either talk about it in the third person, like what happens in a marriage, or you can use a personal story. Remember, you could use either strategy. This person, I strongly agree. If there's no communication, they talked about it more in a distanced fashion. What else? This one talked about body language. This one talked about personal family stories, use stories as examples. What else do we have here? It keeps jumping every time something gets turned in, so I'm losing it. Let's see. What were some of the other? Oh, comprehending, understanding points of view, situations, willingness to share. Okay, so again, just remembering your point. You're going to have one idea per paragraph, right? And then lay it out. So you notice how this can be attacked many different ways. There is no right answer. It's all what the test examiners are looking for is your ability to communicate it. So, you know, and that needs, that requires you thinking on the spot, coming up with an argument or and a way you're going to present it, lay out an outline, and then write from your outline. Okay, that strategy will get you very far. Okay. All right, just going back to our slides. Here we go. So, so one way you could do it, you could make it an analytical discussion. I remember when I did this, I brainstormed examples of imperialism from World War I, criminalization of Jews in World War II, and oil in World War III. I mean, sorry, World War III, Gulf War II. Blah. That was a Freudian slip. So there's lots of ways you can do it. We're gonna take a break in a minute, but I want to give you an activity and I want to show you how to do it first. So I'm going to put you into a new group, okay? And we're going to do a Jamboard, okay? But I want to show you how to do the Jamboard. So what's going to happen is when I put this link in the chat, which I'm not going to do yet, I'm going to show it to you first. When I put the link in the chat, what'll happen, and you click on it, is it will give you this page. It'll say copy document. Would you like to make a copy? So this will make your own personal copy of this Jamboard exercise. Now, we only want one person in the group to make the copy. And then what you're going to do is you are going to add the emails of your other partners. And then you're all going to be able to work in the same document here. And this is a little word attack practice. So what you're going to do is you're going to match the word with the definition. And these are all words: explain, criticize, convince, analyze, cite, argue, compare, contrast, evaluate. These are all words asking you for the different ways you present your argument in your writing. Okay, so I want you to do, it's a little matching game here. So I'm going to put you into groups, breakout groups. One person in the group is going to copy the link. All right, and then they're going to add the emails of the other members. Then you can all work together to play with this. Okay, so I'm going to put you into your groups. Hang on a second. Everybody understand? Only one person. So one person is going to be the leader. That one person is going to grab the link and open it up, make a copy, and then you're going to add the emails of your other partners. Okay, so I'm going to make, maybe for this, we'll just keep the same partners. Okay, let's just keep the same partners from before. I think that's probably better. Okay, because you know each other. So I'm gonna open all the rooms again, and I'm going to put the link in the chat. So only one person opens up the Jamboard and then adds their partner. Then you can all play with this. Okay. Oh, Now, before I want you to go in there, one thing I want to explain to you, you're going to play for a few minutes and then we're going to take a break and we will reconvene at 11:45. I'll put that in I'll broadcast that as well. Okay, so I'm going to put the link in the chat. Hold on a minute. Chat. Here is the link to the Jamboard, okay? Only one person opens the Jamboard. Okay, there's the link to the Jamboard and you can pop in.
Hello, is there a way you can re-add me into the group?
Yeah, who are you?
Carmen Sandoval.
Okay, I'm looking for you here. You should be showing up somewhere. Carmen Sandoval, where are you? I have to look for you. Carmen Sandoval. Oh, there you are. Carmen, you should be showing up in room 1. So go down to the bottom of the page. There should be a little 3 little dots. Click on those dots. Okay.
Excuse me. Can you repost the link?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to post it. I'm broadcasting it in the chat. Okay.
Okay, thank you. I'm not sure if the link went through because we weren't able to click it or anything like that when it was broadcast.
Okay, let me try. Let me just put it in the chat right now.
Okay.
See if it works.
I can't join my breakout room.
What's your name?
Cynthia Franco?
It's just weird. Were you able to join it before, Cynthia?
Yeah.
You know, it's weird. Cynthia, oh, there you are. Okay, let me see. I'm going to put you in a room. Let's see. I'll put you.
Looks
in
like room 11 needs somebody. Laura's by herself.
Okay, good. I'm putting you there, Cynthia. Go ahead. Yeah, I don't understand why sometimes they don't go in. Selena, are you still here and not in a room?
Yeah, I think it's the same people in the.
Yeah, room 12. And I remember I used to always have to manually add Taylor, but I don't know what's up with Taylor. She's not responding. She was in my class last year. Okay, Cynthia, Selena, I'm gonna put you in room 12. Let's just see if you go in there. I don't know. Selena Chanel.
I'm still unable to go into the room.
That is so weird. Well, what about the people who are just here
wait,
now?
let me see.
Why don't you just make your own group? Here's your, just make a group. Use this one. You guys be your own group. And you can just talk out loud. It's okay. We won't listen. Oh yeah, everybody, Taylor, Sheena, are you there? Sheena's there. She can't get into a room.
No, I think she's also trying to communicate with Taylor and Anna
Yeah,
to get
if you,
their emails.
yeah, Sheena, if you can't get in, you can just go and play on the Jamboard by yourself. I don't know what's going on with Taylor. Usually she's really active, but maybe she's
Yeah.
like trying to, I don't know, work her job at the same time. I don't know.
Oh, maybe they're doing two things at the same time.
She's a busy woman, I know, Taylor. Good student, but a busy woman. So hopefully these are working. So I figured out a way that if I can,
Oh, she now just went to the other room, which is good.
okay. I figured out a way, I can take any Google anything and I can change, if I change the, oh, Anna entered the waiting room. Okay, let's admit her. Okay, and
She's
then,
there.
hi, Anna. Let's see if we can put you in with Chanel. Which room is Chanel in? Chanel, where are you, Chanel? Let's see which room she's in. She said, huh. I was hoping this would be a nice kind of icebreaker. They could play this game. I use this in linguistics and people liked it a lot. Matching things. They just would sit in a group and match. It's like playing a puzzle together. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to give them a break now until 11:45. Okay, we're going to. Okay, I'm going to pop out here. Okay, it's about time. So I'm going to close all the rooms and bring everybody back. Try some lipstick. Okay, everybody, we're back. And this time it's the real deal. I'm gonna give you 30 minutes to write. Okay, we're gonna write a prompt, and you've had a little bit of, I hope, a little bit of a break. And so we will come back. I'll give you 30 minutes for the prompt. And so now when I give you this prompt, okay, I'm going to type the link in the chat, and what's going to happen, it's going to be just like the Jamboard. What you do is you click on it, it'll say, do you want to make a copy? And it'll give you a new copy of a new Google Doc. I want you to write your essay in that Google Doc. Okay, this is not a form, it's a regular essay. Okay, so here you go. Give it a try, click on that, it should open up for you. And then I'll time you. So you've got 30 minutes. So give yourself 5 minutes to brainstorm and outline, just like we've been practicing. Then spend 15 minutes writing, and then go back and 10 minutes editing. I'll call time in half an hour. All right. Give it a try. All right. Your mark, get set, go. I'm going to time you. The link is in the chat. And I'll post the prompt is here too. I'll share screen so you can see the prompt. Okay, everyone, time. So we're going to spend some time, a little bit of time just going over like the criteria for assessment. So I'm going to walk you through this, and then I'm going to have you go into groups and evaluate each other's work to kind of help you think about it. So of course we have to be, the number one thing is kindness, because it feels terrible when people give you we say harsh feedback. But I think what we all have to remember is that the feedback we give helps the writer know what the reader understood. So you're always thinking about, how can what I write allow the person I'm writing to understand what I'm trying to say. And it's not a matter of good or bad, it's a matter of clarity. So the 6 traits of good writing are clarity, like really putting yourself in your reader's shoes and thinking, gosh, would they understand would they understand this cold, right? Would they understand that based on the words I've used, the language I've used, would they understand it? So do the ideas show this sort of logical reasoning, the one that we've talked about? Does it stay on topic? That's a really important point. That's why I had you practice brainstorming so much, because going off topic is really easy if you're just trying to draft without following an outline. So, create the outline, follow it when you're writing. Okay, it doesn't matter what you say. It's a matter of, is it organized? Is it logical? You note that that's the second point. And are there good transitions in between? Those are the kinds of things you can go back and clean up if you allow yourself that time to review your writing. Did you give good supporting ideas? Also look at word choice. Could you have used a word that's a little bit more sophisticated? Remember, they're always talking about, are you writing for an adult audience? Just check for proper spelling, capitalization, and punctuation. I think we're all at a terrible disadvantage because we're used to spell checks, but they don't let you use spell checks. So do your best to, look at words that you get dinged on for spelling, write them down and practice them so that you can remember them and really improve your spelling before you take this test. And then, again, is it appropriate to the audience? So again, the audience is always an educated adult, so you want to have a more sophisticated, formal style. So this is the rubric that's used, okay? If you all notice, at the end of your essay, I put a rubric here. So what I'm going to do now is put you into breakout rooms. I want you to read each other's essays. This is, if you want to give your partner like feedback, like, clarity, 4 is great. 1 is maybe it needs more clarity. Okay. The way you do it is this: you go up, if you click, so when you're outside of the chart, you notice you don't see a paint bucket, but when you click in the chart, you get this paint bucket, okay? And if I want to give this person a 4, I hit the paint bucket and I can, make it, green or whatever color I want, okay? So you're going to go in, I'm going to partner you up again. And what you're going to do is you are going to give your partners access to your paper, okay? So you're going to add their email addresses here, okay? And then you can grab the link to, which is what they used to do. There's an interesting story behind that too. It takes folks operating in different languages a longer processing time. It's very well-known fact. I mean, in the languages that I speak, I'm much slower than I am in English, which is the language that I grew up with. I've got very brilliant colleagues on my campus, same phenomena. They're working in English all the time, but their processing time is just a little bit slower. So the state of California was sued way back, I think around 1998. And that's why they gave an extra hour for the test to allow for the different cognitive times for processing that we have. And the benefit of that is that you have 4 hours to take the test. And as I said before, if there's a section you don't pass, you can have the whole 4 hours to work on it. But also, as I said, don't use that as your strategy. Go in, try to take the whole thing and get it over with. Okay, and then also watch for words which are hedges. It's typical in academic language. They never come straight out and say yes or no. They actually say, well, it might, simply because, you know, in academia, we're taking in the really big picture. So, you know, there's always an option. There's always an alternative. There's always an opposition. So we don't ever kind of come out really strongly on one side or the other, which sometimes is maddening to the press, but it's because we're realistic, you know. At any rate, so let's have a look. I'm going to go into the CAMI document and we'll look at this. So this first one is interesting because what they're asking for is they're asking you to analyze this index. And so the typical thing about the CBEST these days is it's not like the old kind of reading comprehension. They're looking for different things. So if you notice in the key I gave you, which is where, let me find the key. Notice in the key here, it says critical analysis and evaluation questions. So they're questioning you specifically for your ability to critically analyze and evaluate versus comprehension and research skills. So notice that those first two questions, they're in the comprehension and research skill category. So obviously a research skill is to be able to read an index, right? So use the excerpt below from the inference to answer the two following questions. So I mean, you can kind of skim this one, but you really need to ask on this one. I would say you'd need to read the questions in order to understand what they're looking for, right? So in which pages should one find information about medicinal uses of flowers? So medicinal is medical uses. So, you know, I'm going to look down this and I see flowers, classification, desert, naming, prairie, tundra, uses, woodland and forest, flower lobbies, and flowering maple. I don't see anything about medicinal. So then what am I going to do? I need to look for something that would include medicinal, right? And if I look down here, well, classification, this is desert, naming, prairie. Well, desert, prairie, tundra, these are all where the flowers, you know, bloom, right? So that's definitely not medicinal. And the only thing in this list that I see that comes close is uses, right? Because it would be a medicinal use. So we can kind of guess or infer that that question is probably the answer, E. And as I said before, the answer to number one is E, so we got it right. Okay, looking down here, which of the following best describes the organizational pattern used in the section of the book dealing with individual flower species? Oh, I remember reading about that, right? There's desert, there's prairies and dry plains, tundra, woodland, forest. Okay, so by country of origin, no way. By physical characteristics, I don't see anything about physical characteristics here. By scientific classification, well, that would be by the names of flowers. These are not organized by their names. By order of importance, no, right? By region, right? A desert is a region, a prairie is a region, a tundra is a region, woodland is a region. So the answer there is E. Okay, anybody have any questions about that one? Okay, yeah, if you've already passed this part, take off. Bye, Rosaria. Okay, the next one, let's have a look at this one. Now, these paragraphs are kind of interesting. So this is where we can kind of look for that claim, evidence, warrant structure. So traveling medicine shows were a major form of entertainment in 19th century small town America. So there's your claim. That's what you know the topic of the sentence is going to be. To hardworking people who saw too little of the broader world, the show's comedy and musical skits provided a welcome diversion from daily routines. Okay, there's an example. Okay, it's explaining the entertainment. Once a crowd had assembled, a distinguished looking gentleman who invariably wore the title of doctor began his sales pitch for some concoction or another made from nature's elixirs that promised to cure everything from warts to the common cold. Despite the obvious exaggeration of such claims, business was often good. So here's the traveling medicine shows, this form of entertainment, right? And then this is the example, right? Well, basically they're talking about what purpose does it serve to hardworking people? The purpose was entertainment, right? Once a crowd had assembled, this is an example of the kind of entertainment, right? And at the end here, despite the obvious exaggeration of such claims, business was often good. This is explaining the claim and then the evidence or the examples, how is the author putting those two ideas together for the reader, okay? Though traveling medicine shows are now a thing of the past, now they're shifting to modern day. Medical trickery is not, so they're making a comparison. Like their 19th century counterparts, modern day quacks seek to take advantage of common fears of pain and death through the promotion of miracle treatment. It is therefore essential that consumers be able to assess reports about various drugs and medical procedures. Now there's a blank here, so I'm going to guess that they're going to give me a sentence to put in that blank, right? Common sense helps. Remember, if a report sounds too good to be true, it's usually just that. So, first question, which sentence, if inserted into the blank line in the second paragraph, would be most consistent with the writer's purpose and intended audience? So let's have a look at these examples. Now look at this one. I think you should at least make an effort to determine who prepared the report and how the researchers arrived at their conclusions. What's the first thing that kind of jumps out you?
It's an opinion.
Yeah, it's an opinion. Good job. And notice the other thing I would say is look at how it's in the I, the first person. Is this written in the first person at all?
No, it's not.
You didn't throw that one out immediately, right? They need to ask questions about who conducted the research and what testing procedures were used.
You're still giving an opinion right there on they need to ask questions.
Yeah, well, yeah, yes. And it is therefore essential that consumers be able to assess reports about various drugs and medicinal procedures. I don't know, it could be, I don't know, they need to ask because they're saying it's essential that they're able to assess reports about various drugs and medical procedures. So, it actually could be this one, but we're going to go to the next one and think about it. They must comprehensively probe the fitness of researchers and incisively evaluate the sufficiency of their methodology. They're not talking about fitness anywhere here, so I don't know, I would throw that one out. You should try to learn something about who did the research and how they did it. Again, notice so you want to think in terms of first person I, second person you, third person that, he, she, it, they, right? None of this paragraph is in the they, so that would be shifting voice. We're going to throw that one out because that would just be a really poorly written sentence, okay? And then the last one, it would sure be a real help to know a little about where the report came from and if it was based on anything. This one, I don't know. I'm going to weigh between B and E, right? But then here's my caveat, okay? So notice this sentence started with it is, and this started with it is, the E starts with it is. In my mind, that would be kind of a really poor writing style to start the sentence the same way. So I'm going to choose B. And if you look at your answer key, in fact, the answer is B, okay? So which of the following is the best meaning of the word quack? Well, if you don't automatically know what a quack is, and it's not a duck's sound, okay, again, you can look back at the top here, up here to think about, well, these are, it's referring to these kind of fake doctors. So let's see what it says. Healthcare organizations, no. Medical supply companies, no. Traveling entertainers, well, maybe, right? Dishonest medical practitioners. That sounds a little more like it. Licensed doctors, I think we're going to go with D, right?
Yes.
I hope this thought process helps. If you don't like it, you can go into a room and talk amongst yourselves. Otherwise, I'm going to just talk you through these, okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, this is called the Think Aloud, and you can take the time to sit and test yourself. There's a couple of different strategies I would recommend if you want to test yourself, by the way. One is to try, if you find reading this really exhausting, try doing 10 questions at a time and then looking at the answers, because one of the things I've played around with this with my students on different practice tests, because I teach in the College of Education in liberal studies, and my students are going to have to take a lot of tests to become teachers. And my goal has always been to make them better test takers so they have more confidence in their own ability. And one of the ways you need to gain confidence is to gain endurance for doing these tests, right? So the more you practice, the better you get. But if you sit and you just practice for hours and you get to the point that you're spaced out and you can't concentrate, that's not going to help you. So I would start with 10 questions at a time, go back and look at the answers, go maybe get up and take a drink. And then each time you sit down for a practice test, try making yourself concentrate for longer and longer periods of time, right? And really pat yourself on the back when you do it, okay? Because you have to pace yourself. You have to think about this test taking as like mental exercise for your brain. So when you go run a race, you don't just try to go run a race cold, right? You go out, you practice, one of the strategies is, you jog a block, you walk a block, you jog a block, you walk a block. Next week, you jog 2 blocks, you walk 2 blocks, you jog 2 blocks, you walk 2 blocks. You can use the same strategy for building up your endurance to take one of these tests. So you could try a whole practice test in the 50 minutes and just see how far you got and then go back through the questions, or you can do 10 questions at a time, play around with it, see what makes you feel best and what makes you be able to do the best. You need to work with your own brain. We're all different. Our brains are all different. We function differently. And the secret to success in life is to tap into what are my natural abilities and how can I enhance them, okay? Don't compare yourself to other people, compare yourself to yourself, okay? And I swear, you can do this, okay? But you got to play around with your strategy, boost your confidence, know you can do this, and then play around with strategy. Take time. The biggest thing you got to do is plan out. If you're going to take the test in 2 months, backwards plan. Say, okay, I'm taking that test in 2 months. I'm going to try Dr. Gage's 10 question trick. I'm going to do 10 questions. And then I'm going to check myself. Okay, well, maybe today I'm going to try a full 50 minutes and see how far I get. Oh my gosh, I only got through 30 questions and I missed 6. Oi, don't freak out. Go back to the 10 question strategy. Okay, so here we go. Let's keep going here. Which of the following best organizes the main topics addressed in the passage? Okay, so entertainment in a small town, 19th century America, and how medical tricksters take advantage of common fears. That actually looks like a pretty good answer, but let's look at the next one. Products distributed by 19th century traveling medical shows. That doesn't look like it, huh? Because they didn't really talk a lot about the products. So I'm just going to skip that one. 19th century medical sales techniques. No, because it's not doctors, right? It's quacks that they're talking about. Contributions of traveling medicine shows to 19th century small town life. Well, I'm not going to choose that one because they were talking about entertainment, right? So let's kind of skip that one because I think I'm going to rule that out. Popularity of 19th century traveling medicine shows. Now that could be it, okay? And then how to guard against modern day trickery. I think that one looks pretty good. And sure enough, boink, that's the answer. So let's go to the next one. Any questions on that one? Any questions in general? I'm watching my chat. Okay.
No,
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. I'm going to grab a sip of water. Okay, the next one. Read the passage below, then answer the 3 questions that follow. Over the last several years, zoos in the United States have been shifting their focus from being show places for exotic animals to serving as centers of zoological education. So there's your claim. That's what you know the paragraph is going to be about. Then there's another one of those darn blanks. So we know that there's going to be kind of a gap in our claim evidence warrant. So we kind of want to keep that in the back of our mind. Through interactive displays, so this is another example, demonstrations and supervised live contact with small mammals, birds, reptiles, children can learn about animal adaptations and habitats, endangered species, and how humans can contribute to the welfare of local animals. Okay, so this is going to talk something about we know that's got to be something about the exhibits, but we're not sure yet. Educators looking for a way to spark student interest in the natural world would be well advised to schedule a visit to the zoo. So that's our warrant, right? So I have a feeling there's a kind of education oriented answer here. Which sentence, if inserted into the blank line in the passage, would best fit the writer's pattern of a development? Okay. So many zoos today offer a variety of hands-on educational activities for school groups. Well, that one to me, it could be because notice how over the years, zoos in the United States have been shifting their focus from being show places for animals to serving centers of zoological education. So that's that kind of broad opening topic. And then if this were the answer, it would be narrowing. So that seems kind of good, huh? The first zoo in the United States was established in 1859 by the Philadelphia Zoological Society. That's a sort of history oriented one, and that would not fit, because notice the topic sentence here talks about over the last several years. So they're talking about more recent, not ancient. This one, let's throw this one out, okay? People have been exhibiting animals in zoos since ancient times. Again, that's taking us way back in history. And that, like, we're just throw that one out because that's not, the topic of this sentence is contemporary. Regular feeding makes many zoo animals less active than they would in the wild. Well, that's just out in limbo. It has nothing to do with our topic. Many zoos also have attractive gardens and tree-lined paths between displays. Yeah, but there's no link between the zoological education, right, and the displays. So I'm going to go with A. Many zoos today offer a variety of hands-on educational activities for school groups. And then look at this. They give the examples. I'm going with A. I'm looking at my answer key. Woohoo, it's A. We got it. All right. The author's argument in the passage is addressed mainly to conservationists, animal lovers, school teachers, zookeepers, school children. Well, I'm thinking school teachers. What do you think? And I'm looking at my answer key and I got it. How many got it? Thumbs up. Did you get it? Are you faster than me? I'm going slow, so apologize.
What was that answer again? I'm sorry.
It was actually school teachers. But it kind of makes sense,
Oh,
right? Right? Because like
yeah.
talking about education, like you think about the theme and the way the theme is being shaped in the paragraph. Zoological education. Then they link to many zoos today offer a variety of hands-on educational activities, right? Then they talk about all the displays and how they're educational, right? And then at the end, looking for, if educators, teachers, right, looking for a way to spark student interest in the natural world would be well advised. And this actually fits really well. Some of you have taken my Linguistics 393 class, and I talk a lot about connectors in paragraphs that are used through synonyms, right? And a teacher, right, is a synonym for an educator. So it makes a lot of sense. Okay, moving right along here. Which of the following assumptions most influence the writer's argument in the passage? Okay, the number of endangered species is increasing at an alarming rate. That could be. Zookeepers are well informed about the animals in their care. That seems a little bit kind of funny. Most teachers are ill-equipped to provide effective instruction in zoology. They're not saying that, so we can throw that one out. Animals from all parts of the world can be found in the zoo. Again, that's not really the topic, so let's throw that one out. Students enjoy activities that permit active participation on their part. Well, that definitely feels like it, right? Because they're talking about how this interactive displays, right, make it more engaging, and that educators should look for, you see, notice here, they say would be well advised. So they're really telling educators to do this because their students are going to like it. So we're going to go with E, and woo, we got it. Okay, it is E. All right, moving right along. Any questions on that one? No? Okay, let's go to the next one. All right, so this one, use the graph below to answer the question that follows. Now, I have to say, a lot of the CBEST now is this sort of ability to analyze graphs and charts and indexes. So these can be a little bit tricky, but we just have to study them. So this is enrollment in community recreation classes and programs in 1999, probably before most of you were born. So it looks like, indoor sports are basketball and racquetball, okay, here. Outdoor sports are soccer and softball. Art classes, they're over here, music, dance, drawing, crafts, okay. Lifelong learning, so this is like personal computer and culinary. Oh, this is kind of interesting. So these are all considered recreation. So recreation, according to this definition, is kind of everything. It's not just, I always think of it as physical activity, but they're not defining it that way. Okay, and then they have other, and then they have physical fitness. Okay, all right, so that's how they're defining it. Let's have a look at the question. In 1999, enrollment in community recreation classes and programs was highest in which of the following areas? Okay, so the easy thing to do is just look at what's the highest. So let's see, 8 and 12, that's 20%. That's higher than 14, right? Oh, wait a minute, let's go down here. We got to add all these up. So 6 and 8 is 14, and 7 is 21, and 9 is 30. I think this is the highest, right? The arts classes. Let's see. And then this one, anybody see anything different? I'm going to go with the arts class C. I'm going to look at my key over here. 9 is C. Yeah, I got it. Everybody see that? So that was just a matter of adding these up. But notice they're asking for math, applied math, and that's a little different than some of the past CBEST tests. Okay, so here we go. We got another one of those blanks again, where you're going to have to fill in the blank. So we got to kind of think about it for a second. So blank, most people know that film must be developed into negatives before making photographs. Few are familiar with the process. So few are familiar with the process is the main clause, and this one is going to be a dependent clause, and we got to think about which, I noticed down here, look at this, which words or phrases, if inserted in order into the blanks in the passage, would help the reader understand the sequence of the writer's ideas. These are kind of tricky. So we got to look for, notice the first one's got to go here in the top sentence, and the second one has to go in the bottom sentence, okay? This is going to be a little tricky. Okay, so we have most people, so few people are familiar with the process. That's your main sentence, and then we have a dependent clause up here, so we're going to have to look at this. Okay, in the black and white, let's keep reading just so we know understand the topic. In black and white photography, film is removed from the canister in a dark room and placed in a special light-resistant developing tank. When the film is safely in the tank, it is safe to turn on the lights and begin developing process. Many of the same basic procedures are used to develop color film. The first step is to add a chemical developer that brings out the images on the film's photosensitive surface. The developer is later poured out and replaced with liquid stop bath and an acetic acid solution that prevents any further reaction between the film and the developer. After the stop bath is poured off, a fixing bath is added, at which point the film can be exposed to light without being damaged. The fixing bath is then poured off, the developing tank opened, and the film washed to remove any chemical residue. Okay, now I'm going to say something to all of you. Given that I would imagine a vast majority of you were born after 1999, how many of you ever took a photography class? Say yes or no in the chat right now. I mean, does this make any sense to you? If you took a photography class where they actually had you do old-fashioned, yeah, see, I'm getting lots of no's. You know what I would do if I were you? if you, so this is something that I've noticed with the CBEST, some of the questions actually ask you to learn and understand it. If this makes no sense to you and you're like, whoa, I would skip to the next question. I mean, I'm going to talk you through how to analyze this, but you would lose a lot of time on this question, and I don't want it to like kill your confidence. So I would just circle this one and say, come back to this at the end if I have time, because you don't want to waste, let's say, half an hour trying to figure out a paragraph on a context you have no experience with. So if you have no experience with a context, okay, it's really hard. Yeah, Margaret says, hopefully they remove these old questions. Well, no, Margaret, what they're trying to get students to do is they want to see how much they can follow by reading, all right? And the thing is, let's think about it. Do any of us sit and just read directions like this anymore? Most of us don't. What do? We Google, we look for a video, and we watch and we listen to the language at the same time, right? So this is going to be a really hard question, basically, for anyone born after 1999 who did not take a photography class in high school. I'm just going to say that. And I'm going to say, don't be, upset when you see a paragraph that makes no sense. Just skip it, go to the next one, and come back to it at the end. That said, I'm going to work you through this. So somebody want to say something?
I have a guess on it, but I may be wrong. So I noticed it's in a way guiding us through some steps and procedures.
Yes.
So can we look at although and finally? Obviously, if we're running out of time, we could probably.
That's a good guess.
Yeah,
so let's just say it. Although most people know that film must be developed into negatives before making a photograph, few are familiar with the process. That's good. And then finally, the negatives are dry. I think that's really good. So let's look. Is that the answer? I'll look at my.
I had the same guess.
Ding ding.
It is, yes.
Yes, it is.
Yay, Laura. Woo, 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 woo.
Thank you. And I don't even have the answers with me, so yeah.
Good. That was good. Okay, let's look at the bottom. So which of the following is but I really do want to give you a pep talk about, there was another one that one of my students had the worst time with, and it was about, putting chemicals in your spa pool, right? And I thought, well, unless you know some chemistry and you have a spa pool, you're not going to understand this. So, skip it. And this is really important. We talk about this in my Link 393 class as well. If you don't understand the social context of the text, it's going to be really hard to understand. So as teachers, what we do is we educate ourselves and we lead our students through the social context. Good, Lucas, you'd be just fine. But if you don't understand, if you don't have that experience, it's not going to make sense. So like, don't be offended or insulted or anything like that, like just go to the next one and find ones that do make sense. Okay. So which of the following is the best meaning of the word solution as it is used in the passage? Okay. So the acetic acid solution, well, that's like a chemical solution. So would be, I would say mixture. Am I right? Yes. E, I'm right. Hoo-hoo, I get a point. Okay, and then according to the information presented in the passage, what should one do immediately after placing film in the developing tank? So then you'd have to go back to placing film in the developing tank. Let's see. I got to find that first. When the film is safely in the tank, it is safe to turn on the lights and begin the developing process. Add a chemical developer. Looks like that's what they tell you to do, right? First step is to add a chemical developer. Okay, yeah, that's our answer. All right, so let's go to the next one. Okay, here we go. Another topic which you know nothing about, but to be honest with you, they're looking at your ability to learn from what you're reading. And, I just think about this a lot because we are more used to media and our reading ability is going down. So read a lot, as Margaret will always tell you. Margaret is a former high school English teacher, and she reads like really big books. So be like Margaret. Okay. Lakan Kol, the popular mass theater of Cambodia, revolves, and I don't know if that's pronounced right. Anybody know if that's pronounced right? I have no idea. Revolves around the story of the Ramayana. That I do know. That's a story, yeah, of Vishnu. In this epic drama, the god Vishnu takes the human form of Rama, devoted husband, to the beautiful Sita. The main plot involves Sita's abduction by Ravana, a demon king, and Sita's heroic rescue by Rama. In the mass theater, all roles are played by men. Traditionally, men accepted into a mass theater troupe perform with the troupe for the rest of their lives, perfecting their roles and enjoying the admiration and respect of the community. Most performers join the troupe as young boys, initially acting as members of Rama's court. The most promising performers advance to the more exacting roles of warriors and giants. Only a youth who shows special dancing ability, however, may be selected to study the role of Ravana. The role has gestures quite different from those of other characters and can be learned only after mastering a subordinate role. Over time, members of the troupe might perform in a variety of roles, but it is more common for the same man to perform the same character for many years. In the past, massed theater was presented only in those villages that were home to resident troops. Massed theater disappeared during the Cambodian Civil War of the 1970s and 80s, but is being reestablished today with the help of the few surviving members of pre-war troops. Okay, which of the following would be the most appropriate title for the passage? The revival of Cambodia's massed theater, the story of Ramayana, theater troops and village life in Cambodia, the history of theater in Cambodia, performers in the massed theater of Cambodia. Anybody want to take a shot at that one?
So we could pretty much eliminate the story of Ramayana because they're not explicitly talking about that as much. They do give us a brief little insight. So I would cross that off right away.
Good job, yeah. And it doesn't go into depth about the revival of Cambodia's mass theater. It's only kind of briefly mentioned at the end. So I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't choose that one. Theater troops and village life. They talked about theater troops, but they didn't talk about village life. So let's throw that one out. The history of theater in Cambodia. They're really more explaining it than giving a history. So I'm going to go with E, and let's look at our key. Yes, it's E. Okay. Okay. According to information presented in the passage, the role of Ravana is played only by performers who, anybody want to take a shot at that?
I would say B, the dancing skills.
Have the dancing skills?
Yeah.
Let's see. Began at an early age. Can play a variety of roles, have never performed as warriors. Well, we can throw D out, right? Are older and more experienced. Oh yeah, because Ravana is the one that has the demon king, right? Is requires special dancing skills. Okay, yeah. So let's go with that. And yay, ding, 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 ding. You got it right. Good job.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Feel free to chime in or type in the chat. Which of the following inferences can be drawn from the information presented in the passage? A, women participate in backstage work at mass theater. I don't think so. B, today there are more mass theaters in Cambodia than there were before the Civil War. I don't think so. C, advancement in the mass theaters is based on skill and experience. I think that's probably a pretty good assumption. The text for mass theater productions have never been written down. I don't even remember that they said anything about that, did they? So I'm going to throw that one out. And then after the Cambodian Civil War, there was little interest. No, that's not true. So let's go with C, and C is yes, the answer. Ding, 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 ding. Which of the following is the best meaning of the word abduction as it is used in the first paragraph of the passage? Well, Laura, you want to give an answer?
Yeah. Well, actually, I'm trying to. I like to cross, off the answer. I just want to cross off arrest, murder, and rejection. recapture and kidnapping, they kind of both tend to follow depending on how the sentence is written.
Uh-huh.
So I would have to say recapture perhaps.
Well, but they're not recapturing, right? Because recapturing means that you get free and somebody brings you back, and I don't think that happened, right? The main plot involves Sita's abduction, so
Okay, yes.
that's a kidnapping, right? I think it's a kidnapping. Let's see. Yes, B, kidnapping. Okay. And then also, like, if you can connect that to something else, so your abductors are when your leg muscles that pull your legs in. So you're bringing in and you're kidnapping, if that helps. Make connections with things you know. All right, so this is one of those really interesting ones where they have the sentence reorganization, and this is the one where your claim, evidence, warrant structure, to think about it, really helps you. Okay, so let's read this. The way emperor penguins care for and protect their unhatched eggs is one of the wonders of nature. The only land creatures able to survive Antarctic winter, these birds must care for their young while withstanding 24-hour darkness, gale strength winds, and temperatures of 60 to 80 degrees below zero. That seems like an organizational thing. But anyway, each year at the end of the Arctic autumn, female emperor penguins each lay a single egg on bare ice. Then after transferring care of the eggs to their mates, they take off across the open ice for the nearest fishing site. The males spend the next 60 days with neither food nor light, living off their considerable body fat and balancing the eggs on their feet under protective flap of skin. During this time, they adapt to the brutal temperatures by huddling together in flocks of hundreds. Although penguins are unable to fly, they are superb swimmers. If all goes well, the females return from the sea with a meal of fish just as the eggs are hatching. Okay, which of the following numbered sentences of the passage best expresses an opinion rather than a fact? Oh, yeah. Okay, the way the emperor are cared for is one of the wonders of nature. Well, that could be an opinion. The only land creatures able to survive these birds, no, that's a fact. Okay, each year at the start of autumn, that's a fact. Then after transferring care of the eggs, they take off, that's a fact. The males spend the next 60 days living off there, that's a fact. During this time, they adapt, that's a fact. Although the penguins aren't able, they are superb swimmers. Yeah, I think I agree with you, Josephina, it's A, because that's the only one that's really is a wonder of time, nature. That's the author expressing their opinion, right? And then they're telling the story. It's the story of the facts of the penguin to express their opinion. So yes, I agree. Everybody says A, we agree. And the answer is A. Ding, 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 ding. Okay, which of the following numbered sentences is least relevant to the main idea of the second paragraph? That was where we had some weird organization here. So each year, part of the Antarctic autumn, female emperor penguins lay a single egg on bare ice.
Is it numbers 7 because it's talking about their abilities of flying and swimming, and pretty much what the paragraph is about. It's about how they care for their eggs.
Yeah. Yes, yeah, you're right.
Okay.
That's a very good answer. Good job. Okay, let's move on here. Which of the following best summarizes the main point of the passage? The brutal climate conditions of the Antarctic prevent female emperor penguins from producing more than one egg. I don't think that's it. During the bitter winter during the bitter Arctic winter, male emperor penguins protect unhatched eggs while the females hunt for food. Well, that one actually looks pretty darn good to me. A major difference between emperor penguins and other species is that females rather than males, but that's an aside note. That's not the whole idea. Without their substantial body fat, emperor penguins could not feed their young. That's an additional fact, but not an idea of the whole paragraph. Emperor penguins live in the Antarctic, where they manage to survive by fishing for food and huddling together for warmth. Well, I mean, it could be B or E. So what do you think? Any thoughts? Why would you rule one out over another, folks?
I would I would actually choose B, because it did talk about the female's part in this whole process.
And the E doesn't. Yep.
And yes, and the E doesn't, yes.
That's a really good analysis. Yeah, I really like the analysis that we're all bringing to this, because it kind of helps us kind of think through the process. Let's go on for the next one. According to information presented in the passage, the relationship between the male and female emperor penguins is best characterized by indifference to each other's needs, female dominance resulting from their role as food gatherers, a competitive struggle for survival, male dependence on female food gathering, a clear division of responsibilities between males and females. I would say E. Everybody agree?
Yeah, I agree.
E. Yep. Okay, good job. Okay, here's another passage. What time is it right now? 1:23. We've got a few more minutes here. The European settlers in the Americas were better armed than native peoples, and more importantly, more resistant to the European diseases they carried with them. Influenza and smallpox were destined to kill far more than was simple firepower. That's a weird sentence. Influenza and smallpox were destined to kill far more than was simple fire. Wow, this is where they put in the passive all the awful things that the European settlers did. Anyway, different view of history here. Thus, Europeans prevailed against large numbers of Native Americans and became successful exporters of tobacco. Okay, which of the following statements does not fit into the pattern of logic developed in the passage? Okay. Europeans were better armed. Europeans were more resistant to disease. Influenza and smallpox killed more people than did simple firepower. Europeans prevailed against large numbers of Native Americans. The Europeans became successful exporters of tobacco. I think I'm getting tired here. Let's see. Any thoughts, anyone? I am getting tired.
Maybe E, because
Yeah, I would say E as well.
of tobacco.
Yeah, because it doesn't really fit. Yeah, okay. Let's look at the chart
The
and
thoughts on tobacco was random.
yeah, it's
That's a
random.
really hard one, because as I was underlining each of the points, they're
Mhm.
all listed above in the passage.
I
So
know.
this one I felt it was more difficult for me to get the correct answer.
Yeah, it's one of those where this is like, if this was your own writing, you'd be going back and forth, really focusing on, oops, where have I gone off? Where have I drifted off into no man's land, right? And it really think about it that way, because it actually kind of helps. But good job.
Well, can I point out something? What helped me right there
Yeah.
is about the negatives instead of the positive outcome. Sorry about the background noise.
That's a really good point. So Margaret's saying 5 more minutes. Okay, how about we try one more question here? All right, the idea of getting your clothes clean and dirty at the same time might seem weird, but the Trabant family seemed to have hit a winner with Clean and Lean, the first combination laundromat fitness center in the country. Clean and Lean was opened 3 months ago in Vista, a San Diego suburb, by Jim and Judy Trabant and their daughter-in-law, Alicia, who take turns overseeing the cycles, wash, spin dry, and exercise. Clean and Lean has 20 washing machines, 12 dryers, 6 Nautilus machines, 3 treadmills, and 3 stationary bikes. I'd say about 60% of our customers do both. About 20% just wash and 20% work out, said Alicia at 8 o'clock on a recent Saturday morning, at which hour the joint was already hopping. Others seemed to take note of the Trabant's terrific idea. Jim confirmed that they have been talking to a group of San Diego bankers about opening clean and lean franchises in other Southern California communities. Okay. Which of the following details from the passage best supports the writer's claim idea that clean and lean, with clean and lean, the Trabants have hit a winner. Okay, so the idea might strike some people as weird. The business is operated by 3 people. The clean and lean opens. The Trabants are discussing opening. So I would say, you know, I forgot I can do this and just like mark it up here. Do. Well, there you go. I'm going with that because if a banker wants to invest in your company, you're doing okay, right? And 22, lo and behold, it's E. Which of the following represents a statement of opinion in the passage? Okay, clean and lean is the first combination laundromat fitness center in the country. No, that's their site. See, where they're using the verb to be there, that typically represents fact or habit. So it's a fact. Jim and Judy take turns overseeing the business. No, that's a descriptive fact, right? Clean and lean has more laundry equipment than exercise. That's another descriptive fact. Opening clean and lean was a terrific idea. Now that is an opinion, right? Because saying it's a terrific idea, oopsie, what happened? It highlighted everything. Okay, Control Z, there we go. Okay, it's D, and I'm right, it's D. From the information in the passage, it is possible to conclude which of the following. Most of Clean and Lean's clientele appreciate being able to do 2 chores at once. Okay. People who use laundromats are generally lazy. People who do their wash, people do their wash more. Okay, I can't read anymore. More people do their wash than do exercise. Most of Clean and Lean's clientele do their wash in the morning. It's a good business to practice to give people somewhere to wash their clothes after they've exercised. Anybody, you want to throw that one out? Because we've got about 1 minute here. What was your answer? I'd say A, and they appreciate being able to do both. And which of the following is closest to the meaning of the joint was already hopping? Well, that means it's really busy. So which one is, place was really busy, D. Okay. Okay, great. Okay, we're gonna call it a day here. I'm gonna share with you in the chat an evaluation for the session. We really need your feedback so we can make this better. It's not very fun doing this as a, I'm going to give you a present here. This is a nice present.